The next thing we have here is SVGs, or Scalable Vector Graphics. It's an XML-based markup language that was first standardized in 2001. And so it looks very much like HTML or like XML because it's a markup language too. So with SVGs, you can actually use it to kind of describe a 2D vector graphics. And just to show you an example of what would be the difference between a vector or a raster graphics is this example right here. So a raster image are pixel based. So when you actually zoom in too much into them, you will start seeing pixels like so. However, with vector images, they're really based on mathematical equations that would define or kind of describe where the edges would be. So no matter how much you zoom into the image, the picture will always remain clean and the edges will remain defined. SVGs can also be manipulated through the DOM API, so you can actually interact with the SVGs images that you create programmatically through your code. So if you want to have something like a smiley face that when you click on it, it turns into a sad face with animation like CSS, you can definitely do that with the DOM API. So let me show you a quick example of that. This here is on CodePen. I've also posted this on the learning module so you can access that. It has the HTML, the CSS, and JavaScript code that's involved in creating this page here. So all of these faces here, if you click on them, they turn to different faces. And if you want to see how this was actually built, you can actually look at the code right here. Now, first thing you notice on the JavaScript side of code here is it starts with some comments, and this comments tells you the libraries that has been kind of like the dependencies for this project to actually work. So this library here is called snap.svgs. You're not really gonna be able to decrypt any of this gibberish here, but that's kind of a dependency similar to when we included the animate.css library into our previous demo. So I'm just gonna keep scrolling until I finish all that gibberish and I start finding some code that's actually human readable. And here we go. So that's the happy smiley face. It starts by just defining the elements that it will need to animate, and here's the code to actually perform the animation using this snap.svg library. You can look at this code on your own. You can also include that into your project if you would like to do that. And this here is how SVGs generally look like. Again, they look very much like XML or HTML or any markup language that you've may have worked with before. So to create this rectangle right here, that's all the code that's involved in creating it. Also, the other nice thing about SVGs is that it's supported by all the major browsers. And here I want to take this opportunity to show you this website. It's called caniuse.com. Basically, in this website, you can just search for any browser feature that you may think of, and it will tell you which browsers support that feature. So here, when I typed in SVGs, it will show you all the browsers that you can actually use SVGs on. So right now, it's supported by IE11, Edge, Firefox, Chrome, and so on. Sometimes those features would have some known issues on certain browsers, so if you switch to the known issues tab here, it will show you what those issues might be. So for example, Chrome 48 and on, they no longer has support for a certain interface or a certain SVG interface. So this is just something for developers or whoever builds SVG graphics with to know the limitations of each browser. Again, like we mentioned in the previous video, a lot of the features in the web development are not implemented or are not supported the same way across the spectrum of all the browsers that are out there.